Right now,
hold on.
what is it that you do have?
My point is, you coming up, you necessarily coming to my neighborhood, cleaning up my neighborhood, that really don't help the neighborhood. Actually, that kind of cripples the neighborhood. If the community is not helping clean up their own property, with your help now, you can come help and drop off some bins, maybe some supplies, but we need to be really the ones cleaning up our neighborhood. That's what unites a neighborhood and turns it into community. That's what gets you knowing one another and understand who cares about the property.
So how do people feel about this point he's just raised?
But there's no talking about how we are going to implement that in our plan.
So I mean, we need to get some proactive statements out here while we're together.
I agree with what he's saying, because what he's saying is, as a community, people in the neighborhood, I would appreciate, I actually feel out of cover for this young man here, to have someone touch the lot. So what he's saying is, as a community, we in the neighborhood, can we rally around each other, maybe a block club somewhere, where we can get together as neighbors to keep this going, lots. I know the city gave my sister in her neighborhood a lawnmower to kind of just sit on the deer, to cut the lots in their neighborhood. They go together a lot club to
help us with this, don't fish for us.
This is what we need.
So the concept I'm hearing, the idea here is that if one element of RecoveryPark's vision should include direct engagement with the people living here and support what you have in mind for your neighborhood. Can we move on to some of those ideas? What are some of those specific ideas?
I think this particular neighborhood should start a block club. Some kind of citizen district council to make sure they can direct the concerns they have to the city who can help them with it, and then keep the lines open between the RecoveryPark and what you're trying to do with the city with what they need. And that way they'll have good scope for their help.
Great, thank you. Jeff.
Okay, I want to really get to that one right there. We already there.
Sure is.
We already have a plan that was put out in 95. We've been in this community since 1988. We are an umbrella neighborhood represented organization. We have boundaries. We have had regular meetings. We have been here to establish grants for home improvement. We've been here longer than Cher. Cher is a neighbor to us, renting at St. Elizabeth. I graduated from St. Elizabeth High School. This is my neighborhood. I don't know how many of my neighbors are here, but we had a meeting with people this week, Friday. We know we want neighborhood and we want housing. If we give up on that, where do we go from here? We let someone else come in and take over our community. They're talking about agriculture and farming, but I said last time we're industrial people. The factories was our jobs. We don't know anything about farming, and we certainly don't want a rural area in the middle of town. We're already, so you have to join us.
So
That's what we want.
If you would welcome to the right dialogue about that plan, I think that's exactly part of what we were saying earlier about the smaller area of this entire footprint. What's the name of your group or your neighborhood?
Community.
All right, so how would we take a next step to take you up on your offer?
Well, you have to meet with us. You have to meet with us.
The community, the people in the
We'll
community.
be hosting the meeting, we'll make sure y'all get one.
Residents Coalition, East Side Central Residents Coalition.
And do you have a contact person, that number that you can get?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Many years.
Okay, so he's the representative?
No,
No, he's younger.
I'm representing the
Who's
community.
the representative?
I would be
Okay, and your name?
McCall.
First name?
Mama.
phone number that we can reach you?
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll act on that directly. Thank you very much. Some other specific?
I just had a question for you. Was the plan that you did in '95, was that part of Archer's community reinvestment strategy? Or?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
Yes, it
yes,
is.
it is.
What cluster
Not farming.
was
Housing.
that part of?
Not farming.
Housing.
Not farming.
They do that, yes.
Yes, please.
I think I would like for you to address a couple of things. First, when we talk about, I think, at least from my perspective and the research that I've done, when we talk about farming, could you give us some examples of what that is? You've talked about indoor fisheries for a moment. I got that, but you could kind of describe that. And then to the CRS plan that was created over 10 years ago during the Archer administration. For those of you who don't know, I am the state rep for this area, and during my tenure with the city of Detroit, worked very closely with folks who put those CRS plans together. And what we do know about, and it's no secret, anybody who can drive our own neighborhoods around here, what we know about the city is that there's been drastic change over the last 10 years. And so my question is there a mechanism in place with the community that's here to reevaluate or go through that process again to come up with more than one alternative for redevelopment of the area? And the reason I say that is, and I said this to you the last time we met, the reality of it is that gentleman over there is probably not going to tell you that, and nor is he charged with telling you that, but we've got to do things differently with the land that's in the city. We know, one of the people came up to me in the meetings in the Stapleton, you know, we need to build houses so that people come back. I said, I would love to see that, but let me ask you a question. Why do people leave? The people left because the school system became in trouble. People left because they felt insecure, just like so many of us do as we go to and come to and go from our neighborhoods every day. They left for no lighting, inadequate lighting. There are some basic things that we know that if we put 5 houses up today, and if you don't believe me, go with me to Mack and Fisher. We can put 5, 10, 15 houses up on a block, and we can't find people to live in them. So while I agree with you, I would love to see that CRS plan really work, and I would fight with you to the end to make it happen. I think you are selling yourselves down a path that is not going to get you the return that I think you could get if you don't come up with some alternatives other than just housing. And so what I would urge is a conversation now that we know the name of that group, and you did mention it the last time, by the way, because I remember we had a conversation.
That group don't speak for the community.
But the community members who are here who represent that organization and others need to get together and determine a number of alternatives that are realistic. Again, I used to work for the city, and I can tell you that there are some things that are and are not going to happen in some of these areas simply because the city does not have the resources. And we at the state, quite frankly, I don't know if you all noticed, it's not a friendly environment right now up there. We can't give you the resources that you need to actually turn the corner in so many of our neighborhoods. And so what I have heard this evening is this. I've heard someone come and say again, I've heard people come back, and I've heard the same thing. We own nothing. This is simply talking in a plan. We're willing to hear people. We want to engage. But there is no plan, and anybody who owns any lots over here, the only person who can answer that is this gentleman over here at the city. The other thing that I heard is that we have a community plan that we put together, and while my own personal opinion is that I think you need to revisit that in terms of coming up with multiple alternatives, there's an opportunity there for that conversation to occur offline from this meeting. But in the next phase of whatever happens here, I think that we have to be real honest about what our reality is. If anyone who comes in your neighborhood is not willing to buy your property and send you on your way, then you're going to be here. And if you want to be here, we want you to be here. I will fight for you to stay here.